The old car rumbled to a stop. Gravel crunched under its tires. Joe, Kevin and Jeremy peered through the foggy windshield. There it was, Midnight Manor. The haunted hotel loomed before them. Its windows were dark, empty eyes. The moon cast eerie shadows across its weathered facade.
We're really doing this.
Kevin's voice quivered. Joe nodded, his face set with determination. Jeremy clutched his camera, knuckles white. They had come to document the paranormal. Now, faced with the reality, fear crept in. The hotel seemed to watch them, waiting. They stepped out of the car. The night air was cold, damp. It clung to their skin like ghostly fingers. Crickets fell silent as they approached. Even nature seemed to hold its breath. The front doors stood ajar as if inviting them in or warning them away.
Let's go.
Joe led the way, flashlight in hand. Its beam cut through the darkness. Kevin and Jeremy huddled close behind. Each step brought them closer to the unknown. The floorboards of the porch groaned beneath their feet. It was the sound of old secrets, of forgotten stories, and perhaps of lurking dangers. They crossed the threshold into Midnight Manor. The air inside was thick, musty. It smelled of rot and abandonment. Joe's flashlight revealed peeling wallpaper, cobwebs stretched across ornate chandeliers. Nature had begun to reclaim the hotel. Vines crept through broken windows, moss carpeted the once grand staircase.
Guys, maybe we should go.
Kevin's foot crunched on something. He looked down, then quickly away, a small animal skeleton, but curiosity pulled them deeper. They moved through the lobby. Dusty furniture loomed like sleeping beasts. A grand piano sat silent, its keys yellow with age. Jeremy's camera flashed, capturing the decay. Each picture seemed to anger the shadows. They grew darker, more menacing. The friends huddled closer together. Their breath came out in visible puffs. The temperature had dropped, suddenly, unnaturally. Upstairs, they found long hallways stretching into darkness. Doors hung off hinges like broken teeth. Some rooms were bare, others still held the ghosts of past guests. Suitcases lay open, clothes strewn about, as if their owners had fled in a hurry or never left at all. The hotel seemed to breathe around them. Walls creaked and settled. Or did something else move in the shadows? A sound echoed through the halls, faint at first, then louder.
Did you hear that?
They froze, listening. It came again, a low moan, like wind or a voice in pain.
It's just the building settling.
But his voice lacked conviction. The sound grew closer, more distinct. Kevin's flashlight flickered, died. Darkness pressed in around them. Joe's light barely held it at bay. The moaning stopped, replaced by something worse. Footsteps, slow, dragging footsteps coming towards them.
Hello?
His voice cracked. No response, just the steady approach of unseen feet. They backed away, hearts pounding, breath coming in short gasps. The footsteps grew louder, closer. A shadow moved at the end of the hall, took shape. A figure, hunched and twisted, it shuffled into view. The beam of Joe's flashlight revealed a face, pale, sunken, eyes that gleamed with malice.
Run.
They turned and fled. The figure let out an inhuman shriek. It echoed off the walls, filled their ears, chased them down the hall. They ran blindly, terror giving them speed. Behind them, the footsteps quickened. The creature was giving chase, its cries growing louder, more frenzied. The hunt had begun.
Is everyone okay? Panic drove them forward. They raced down the hallway. Joe in the lead, Kevin close behind. Jeremy brought up the rear. The creature's shriek spurred them on. Its footsteps pounded closer. They reached the stairs. Took them two at a time, risking falls in their haste to escape. Joe's flashlight beam bounced wildly. It cast crazy shadows on the walls, made the hotel seem alive, writhing around them. They reached the lobby. Furniture loomed in their path. They dodged and weaved, knocked over chairs, vaulted over tables. The front door was so close. Freedom just steps away. Behind them, a crash. The creature had stumbled, bought them precious seconds. They burst through the front doors. Cold night air hit their faces. They ran for the car. Keys fumbled. Engines sputtered to life. Tires squealed on gravel. They sped away. Hearts pounding, gasping for breath.
Joe asked. He glanced in the rearview mirror. His blood ran cold.
Where's Jeremy?
The back seat was empty. Kevin turned, eyes wide with horror.
He was right behind me.
They looked back at the hotel. It stood silent, dark. Jeremy was still inside with that thing. The car screeched to a halt. Silence fell, heavy, oppressive. "Joe, we have to go back." His voice shook. "Kevin, are you crazy? That thing is in there." But they both knew. They couldn't leave Jeremy behind, not in that place, not alone. Inside the hotel, Jeremy huddled in a dark corner. He had tripped, fallen behind. Now he was lost, alone. His camera lay forgotten beside him. Every creak, every whisper of wind made him flinch. Where were Joe and Kevin? Had they escaped, or had the creature found them? He tried to steady his breathing, to think. He needed to find a way out, but which way? The hotel was a maze, and somewhere in its twisting halls that thing lurked, hunting, searching. Jeremy closed his eyes, prayed for courage, for rescue, for dawn to come and chase away the shadows. Outside, Joe and Kevin argued. "Joe, we can't just leave him." Kevin paced, torn between fear and loyalty. "Kevin, but how can we find him? That place is huge." They stared at the hotel. Its windows seemed to stare back, challenging them, daring them to enter again, to face what waited inside. Joe made his decision.
I'm going back in.
You can't. It's suicide.
But Joe's mind was set.
Jeremy's our friend. I won't abandon him.
He checked his flashlight, took a deep breath.
Wait here. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, call for help.
Kevin watched Joe walk back towards the hotel. The darkness seemed to swallow him. The front door creaked open, closed. Joe was gone. Kevin slumped against the car, alone, helpless. The night pressed in around him. Every sound made him jump. He checked his watch, counted the minutes. Inside, Joe moved cautiously. His flashlight swept back and forth, searching. He called out softly.
Jeremy, where are you?
No answer, just the settling of the old building. He climbed the stairs. Each step could give him away, alert the creature, but he had to find Jeremy. The upper floor was a maze of shadows. Joe checked each room. His nerves stretched to breaking point. Any moment he expected to see that pale, twisted face, to hear that inhuman shriek. But he pressed on. Jeremy needed him. He wouldn't give up, not until he found his friend. A sound caught Joe's attention, a whimper, barely audible. He followed it, heart pounding, flashlight beam shaking, there in a corner. A huddled figure.
Jeremy?
The figure looked up, Jeremy's face pale with fear. Relief flooded through Joe. He had found him, but their reunion was short-lived. A shriek split the air. The creature had found them too. Joe pulled Jeremy to his feet.
Run!
They fled down the hallway. The creature's cries echoed behind them. Closer, louder, they reached the stairs, took them at a dangerous pace. In the lobby, Joe's flashlight flickered, died. Darkness engulfed them. They stumbled, blind, crashing into furniture. The creature's footsteps thundered down the stairs. Joe felt for Jeremy's hand, found it, squeezed it.
This way.
He yelled, pulling them towards where he thought the exit was. Behind them, a crash. The creature had reached the lobby. Its shrieks filled the air, hungry, triumphant. Joe's hand found the door handle, turned it, stuck. He pushed, harder. It gave way. They burst out into the night. The cool air hit them like a wave. Freedom, but the creature was right behind them. Kevin saw them emerge. His relief turned to horror as he spotted the creature. It burst from the hotel, a twisted, nightmarish shape. He gunned the engine. The car roared to life. "Hurry!" He screamed. Joe and Jeremy ran towards him, the creature hot on their heels. They were so close, just a few more steps. The creature's breath was hot on their necks. Its claws reached for them, grasping. Joe pushed Jeremy ahead.
Go!
He yelled. Jeremy stumbled, fell into the back seat. Joe dove in after him. The creature's claws raked his back. Kevin floored the accelerator. The car leapt forward, tires spinning on gravel. The creature shrieked in fury. It clung to the trunk, trying to pull itself in. Kevin swerved hard. The creature lost its grip, fell away. Its cries faded as they sped into the night. They didn't slow down, didn't look back. The hotel disappeared behind them, swallowed by the darkness. They drove in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. The horrors they had witnessed, the narrow escape, the realization of how close they had come to death, or worse. Dawn was breaking as they reached town. The first rays of sunlight chased away the shadows, made the night's terrors seem distant, unreal, but the scratches on Joe's back were all too real. A reminder of their brush with the unknown. They pulled into Joe's driveway, sat in silence.
What was that thing?
Jeremy finally asked. No one had an answer. Kevin shook his head.
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Joe winced as he shifted in his seat.
Let's agree never to speak of this again,
he said. The others nodded. Some secrets were best left buried. They got out of the car, legs shaky, minds reeling. The normal world seemed strange now, changed. They had glimpsed something beyond understanding, something that shouldn't exist. It would haunt their dreams, make them fear the dark. But they had survived. They were safe, for now. As they parted ways, each to their own home, they shared a look, a silent agreement. Their adventure was over, but the memory would linger. of the night they spent in Midnight Manor, of the creature that hunted them, and of the bonds of friendship that had saved them. They had faced the unknown together and lived to tell the tale, though they never would.